After reading this book, it seems to us that this novel is a Bildungsroman-esque story. So, does the character growth that Susan experiences in her 1961 journey to Israel reflect your journey that you went through in 1961?
I, I'm laughing. I'm laughing and I'm smiling, and because I cannot tell you how many people have said, shaking their finger at me, "Are you Susan? Are you really Susan?" Okay. So here's the best I can do. I'm not Susan and I am Susan. Okay. Susan is pretty feisty, right? Would you say she's feisty? I'm feisty.
Yeah, I'd say so. Going
I
to
may want to
Israel
deny it.
against their
I
father's
may
wishes.
want to say that now that I'm, a grandmother, I'm mellow. I'm probably more mellow than I was when I was 20 and hanging out in Washington Square Park and listening to guitars and being a hippie, but feisty. That's true. Uh, Another odd little thing about Susan. You know how Susan counts? She counts the numbers on the arms.
Yes,
Well,
the girl who counted numbers.
here's a secret. I'll give it to you for your thing. I don't know why, but when I was maybe 10 or 12, kids get funny habits. Some kids, they tap their hands, or you've seen kids who shake their foot a lot. Maybe you do. But certain habits. I had a friend who, at college, used to just tear up pieces of paper. She couldn't stop herself. Just tear little pieces of paper.
Uh-huh.
Well, my thing was, I would count cracks in sidewalk when I walked. I was 10 or 12, I would count. And there was this kind of counting thing, which I don't know, was a little OCDC, but whatever it was, when I got to Israel's a warm climate. So the Holocaust survivors in New York, where I live, they wore long shirts. They weren't out advertising those numbers tattooed to their arms. They wanted to hide them. They wanted
Yeah.
to, and so to that extent, I am Susan. Now, the whole Zionism business and all of that, I don't know if I'm exactly Susan there. I had studied Hebrew and I liked the language. I happen to be a person fairly good at languages. So for my PhD, I had to be able to read French and German. And when I'm in a country for more than a week, I can start speaking sentences in strange languages. We all have our little talents. Was I a Zionist? Not really. I was more interested in the Hebrew language, in the culture, in the history. I was very interested in the history. I liked reading the Bible, like reading a novel,
Uh-huh.
So maybe that part's a little like. The part that is very accurate is that, like Susan, I had a father who was a lawyer, and he was a Zionist. But he never went to Israel like this father. We didn't get into arguments about it. I studied Hebrew for a while and actually went to Israel, not because my father forced me to go to Israel. My father didn't really. I went to Israel because I won a scholarship with 11 other students to study social science, political science, that was my major. I went to Brandeis as an undergraduate. And so we went to study. I never took notes, but all I could hear, I would sit in the cafes, everybody drank black coffee, everybody except me smoked. Everybody smoked. You cannot imagine, it's a different, 1961, maybe they smoked here too, but in Israel, everybody smoked.
Yeah, they
And
still.
they would sit at these tables and they would kind of whisper or talk, whisper sod. Sod means secret.
So,
And it would be in Hebrew. But guess what? I knew Hebrew. not completely fluently, but pretty fluently. So I was absorbing a lot of their secrets about having been in the camps and etc. So does it reflect my journey? Well, Susan, in the end of this book, is not a Zionist. What is Susan in the end of this book? She
And
stays in
changed
Israel
them.
as an activist,
Yeah.
as a progressive. She's still with Ezra. She's still trying to make more democracy. I mean, I wish she was in Israel today, right now. They need her at some of the, this is my opinion, they need her at some of these protests because there's a lot of crisis over the judicial system and over selection of judges, etc. So I think there are some parallels, but not entirely. Not entirely. There was no Uncle Yaakov in the family. He's entirely fictitious.
So it's kind of like fiction based on like true events or like experiences of your own.
You know, I want to say something very important. If you're a journalist, which I was and have been all my life, written hundreds of stories, you seek truth. Now, when you're writing a novel, you still have to seek truth in certain ways. So I tried to contextualize this book so that although it's a novel with an imaginary Uncle Yaakov who's gay and Ruth who doesn't exist except in my novel, I still kept authenticity about the trial, about the city of Jerusalem, about the tenor of the country in 1961, about kibbutzim where there were huge murals of Karl Marx on the walls. A lot of
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Yeah.
true.
It's crazy.
I mean, they're essentially communes. Yeah.
They were essentially,
Yeah.
in fact,
Um,
the parents only saw the kids for lunch.
Yeah, no, they take you when you're young, and then you're essentially raised by the school and the community. Yeah.
and then you have to give back. Yeah.